I cannot be silent.
Back when Eisenhower was the president, golf courses is where most of his time was spent. So I never really listened to what the president said, because in general I believed that the general was politically dead. But he always seemed to know when the muscles were about to be flexed, because I remember him saying something, mumbling something about a military-industrial complex.
As I have walked among the desperate, rejected, and angry young men, I have told them that Molotov cocktails and rifles would not solve their problems. I have tried to offer them my deepest compassion while maintaining my conviction that social change comes most meaningfully through nonviolent action. But they asked, and rightly so, what about Vietnam? They asked if our home nation wasn't using massive doses of violence to solve its problem, to bring about the changes it wanted. Their questions hit home, and I knew that I could never again raise my voice against the violence of the oppressed in the ghettos without having first spoken clearly to the greatest purveyor of violence in the world today, my own government. For the sake of those boys, for the sake of this government, for the sake of the hundreds of thousands trembling under our violence, I cannot be silent.
Each one reach one, each one
I
time.
cannot be silent.
Nobody can do everything, but everybody can do something. Everyone must play a part. Everyone got to go to work. Work for peace. Spirit say work.
I cannot be silent.
Empowering the body, mind, and spirit. This is We Cannot Be Silent with Phil Restino and Larry Pinkney.
And just in case you did not recognize it, that is the theme for We Cannot Be Silent. And our next guests are Phil Restino and Larry Pinkney. And if you'll stand by just a moment, I'm going to bring them live now. And here we go. Okay, guys, I think I got everything wired together right. So the next 25 minutes is all yours. Take it away.
Well, thank you, Gary, and thank you, UnitedWeStrike.com, for once again giving Larry Pinkney and myself a chance to do our little broadcast once a month. The name of our show, folks, is We Cannot Be Silent, and my name is Phil Restino. I co-host the program with our good friend Larry Pinkney. Larry is a veteran of the Black Panther Party. As some of you already know, he's a writer, author, lifelong activist. He's got over 4 decades worth of work that you can access over at blackactivistwg.org, blackactivistwg.org. And we took the name for our program from the speech that you heard bits of in the opening there, Dr. Martin Luther King's Beyond Vietnam, A Time to Break Silence speech, given at the Riverside Community Church in Harlem, New York City, on 4 April 1967, a year to the day that he was murdered. And so that's a little background on our opening and who we are. Larry, are you there? I am indeed.
Oh, good. As Gary had mentioned off air, you've been pretty busy this past week, appearing on a number of different programs. Folks want to know what your take on things has been lately, and we're so glad that you're able to get out there and speak truth to power as you have been for decades now. And I also wanted to mention, for those of us who are just tuning in, UnitedWeStrike.com is broadcast
the second Saturday of every month, the radio marathon, and we want to get all the listeners to hang on to this slogan: don't buy, don't comply, ask why. You know, we do have the ability to make change in our very selves by doing just that. Don't buy, ask why, don't comply. Oh God, I messed it up, Larry. What is it? Don't buy, don't comply, ask why. Right? Basically,
right.
What that means is checking out. You know, refusing to play their game. One of the other radio programs has a T-shirt with that slogan. The only winning move is to not to play their game, something to that effect. But Larry, I'd like to just bring you in here and see what you have to say as far as how we're going to open this show here and what's on your mind. We have a 20-minute or so program left.
Okay. Well, first of all, once again, I'd like to, along with Phil, I'd like to thank our listening audience very, very much. Without you, none of us can exist. It's all of us or none of us. It's just that simple. I would like to draw people's attention to a couple of articles that I hope you will just Google and check out for yourself. One is called Surveillance, Obama's Guantanamo, and hang on. As a matter of fact, what I'd like to do is refer people directly to the article itself. So you can go to it. As I said, you can just Google it. It's called Surveillance, Obama's Guantanamo and Political Prisoners in the U.S. You can find this article at blackactivistwritersguild.org. That's blackactivistwg.org. It's meant to link issues together. Too many times we don't link issues. We get so discombobulated, as it were. And that's what the system is all about, keeping us divided, keeping us in fear, keeping us ignorant, keeping us, basically controlled and manipulated. And we have to stop this. We're the only ones who can. Anyway, again, the article is entitled Surveillance, Obama's Guantanamo, and Political Prisoners in the U.S. You can check it out. You can find it at blackactivistwritersguild.org. It was originally published maybe 3 or 4 days ago in the Black Commentator. The other article I'd like to very briefly mention is from Intrepid Report, and it's entitled Everyday Ordinary People Taking Back Our Humanity from the Jaws of Despair. This article, I wrote this article in Intrepid Report with the intent of trying to be encouraging, because as I say constantly, we're all in this struggle together. I'm urging that all of us critically think. You know what they call critically thinking today, Phil? They call, if you're a critical thinker, they call you a conspiracy theorist. Okay, that's the new term. If you critically think, then you must be a conspiracy theorist. I mean, how sick is that? But anyway, those are the two things I wanted to mention. Both articles, check them out. One is from Intrepid Report. The other one, you can even also find that article not only in Intrepid Report, but you can also find that article at the Black Activist Writers Guild, along with the previous article I mentioned. So that's what's been on my mind. Over to you, my brother.
Oh, thank you, Larry. Usually that's my job, folks, is to bring you up to date on Larry's most recent columns. I failed to do that, but Larry got it covered. There's a lot going on, and we talked about, I thought about, Larry, your head must be spinning, all the different programs you've been called to appear on this past week or so, and they really are spinning our minds, aren't they, as far as keeping our eye off the ball. We've got a lot of things going on, but yes, folks, please do. For those who don't know, Larry does a column once a week for two publications, two separate columns, Intrepid Report, intrepidreport.com, and for the Black Commentator, and it's called, the column there is called Keeping It Real with Larry Pinkney, and that's at blackcommentator.com. And all of Larry's work, his various radio, TV, etc. appearances are also posted and put all together in one site, Black Activist Writers Guild, and that's blackactivistwg.org. And I say that because I came to know Larry Pinkney as the result of reading a column he wrote. It's 2 years ago now, Larry. In July of 2011. For those who don't know, my background is I became an activist by wanting to do something against this crazy war on terror that's been going on now for 12 years, and under the name of the big lie, the big 9/11 lie. And I eventually got involved with Veterans for Peace, and after hearing a fellow speak in Washington, D.C. in June of 2005, a fellow named Mike Ferner, a former national president of Veterans for Peace. And what had happened was there was a leak, Larry. A story had broken on the Downing Street memos, which was documented proof that both the U.S. Bush administration and the U.K.'s Blair administration had conspired with each other a year before, in July of 2002, to knowingly lie about weapons of mass destruction in Iraq that they knew did not exist, and to propagandize that to both the U.S. and the British people to justify an aggressive invasion, and I thought, man, that once that broke, the war would be over, Boy, was I naive, but I saw these guys, these Veterans for Peace fellows, and I was just blown away. They're waving the Constitution in the air, saying not only is it our responsibility as citizens, but it's our duty as veterans to uphold the Constitution and impeach this criminal president. And here we are 8 years later, and we've got a different criminal president in who the last one didn't get impeached, nor has he been prosecuted, nor has this one been impeached either. I think a big part of it is because these very same people who were waving the Constitution in the air did not and have yet to publicly call for impeaching the Democrat. And that's I didn't plan on going in this direction, Larry, but
guys, do you think maybe it's because nobody's waved a blue dress in the air? I mean, the heck with the Constitution.
There you go, Gary. Maybe that's what we need, But I really believe, Larry and Gary, you fellas have heard me say this a number of times. I really believe our biggest obstacle, the biggest threat that we have to our freedom and everything is our own stubborn, partisan divisiveness here amongst ourselves, the people. And how do you see that, Larry, as far as what's going on right now in 2013, 2 years after I saw that article you wrote on the Black Commentator, is it time to impeach Barack Obama, which was basically the article answered very clearly, yes, it is. What do you see things now, Larry, 2 years later?
Well, I see good things happening, not nearly as fast as I would like it to be, but hey, struggle is long and protracted. But even that's what this article that I was just mentioning in Intrepid Report tends to allude to and talk about directly is that, let's just think about the past 2 years, Bill. Mm-hmm. People really are We haven't gotten the critical mass yet. We will, though. People really are beginning to awaken. If nothing else, their common sense, they're beginning to use that again, to use their common sense, and their intuition. They're beginning to research, check out things for themselves. I always urge people to critically think. Think for yourself. Think outside of the box, the caged box, because that's really what it is. And so what I see, and Phil, you know, let's give you and the sisters and brothers out there in Florida and all over the country, for that matter. But let's give you and Kathy and others who have really been diligent, very diligent and persistent, if you will, about awakening people, getting them to draw the links, to make the links, I should say, to dot the I's, cross the T's, follow the money trail, follow it, you know, and so I do see very positive things happening with respect to, you know, we're not going to be told that on PBS or CBS or ABC or NBC or Fox News. Of course, I mean, it's not in their interest for the people to wake up. They want to keep us, you know, in a state of a slumberous state, slumbering. They want us to keep us, as Malcolm X would say, they want to shoot that Novocaine in, you know, in our brain, and that's what they've done for a long time, for a very long time. However, there are cracks beginning to appear in this huge wall of silence and control. And I want to jump real quickly back to what you had said about, you know, these folks who, when it was G.W. Bush, they were in the streets and talking that, and righteously so. They were saying, you know, this is outrageous, this is wrong, this is based on a lie. But as soon as they put this charlatan, Barack Obama, in the White House, what happened? You know, what did they suddenly turn into, as an Irish parliamentarian said 2 or 3 weeks ago, I think her name is Claire Daly, you know, are they all trying to become hypocrites of the century, or what? But thanks to the constant and persistent diligence on your part and others, on the part of you and others, people are beginning to pay a lot of attention to what's really happening, instead of paying attention to Steve Harvey and Oprah Winfrey and NBC, CBS, PBS, and all of them, because they drink from the same corporate trough. So I'm tired, of course, but you know what? It's better to be tired and to feel it and keep on going than to be numb and ultimately, give up. I have no intention of giving up, every intention of intensifying in this struggle. And that's what all of us have got to do. I always, in my columns, whether it's in blackcommentator.com or whether it's in intrepidreport.com, in my columns with a couple of sentences, I say, each one, reach one. Each one, teach one. Onward, then, my sisters and brothers. Onward. That's what we've got to do. So we just got to intensify. We've got to continue this struggle. When I was teaching political science as a university instructor, I used to always tell my students, you know, this is not a personality contest. People are not going to like, so the truth upsets a lot of people, because when you learn the truth, you therefore have a concomitant responsibility to do something, you know, and so along with truth comes responsibility, and that makes a lot of people uncomfortable. But you know what? Comfortable people don't make change, and change, real systemic change, is what this is about. Hope I answered your question.
You did, Larry, and you gave me some hope there, real hope, you know, and we do have to recognize our little victories here and there. We were speaking earlier before the program, speaking about the media, you know, you also got to look at the so-called alternative media, you know, and you can't put both feet in 100% on anything. We do have to continue to think for ourselves, but the NPR snippet on chemtrailsplanet.net. Bob Tuskin, radio host who was involved with United We Strike going back in the early days here. Gary might remember Bob, Karen does. He got a call into the NPR's Talk of the Nation, and it was the fella's last program, and he brought up the questions surrounding World Trade Center Building 7 and architects and engineers for 9/11 Truth, and he did it in a very intelligent, factual way. And the host, another gatekeeper, the host, all he could do was call him a name, call him a truther, and then said, "I'm going to hang up on you," because the truth is, it's powerful. The truth is powerful, and they don't want, we got it on our side. So what I'm trying to say is that regular old folks like your column here, everyday ordinary people, taking back our humanity from the jaws of despair, hey man, this is doable, and it is being done, and kudos to Bob Tuskin for that call into NPR a couple weeks ago, Talk of the Nation, and getting that call in, and that was nationwide. People heard it, and people were witness to this radio host having to show himself as a gatekeeper. And so we are having victories, and we do have that power, and thanks for the reminder of that.
Yeah, well, I'd like to just, as Smokey Robinson would say, second that emotion. Yes, I'd like to second what you just said, kudos to Bob, kudos to all of us, each and every one of you of all colors, everyday black, white, brown, red, yellow people of all ages, of all creeds, everybody who's standing up now and who's awakening and taking the necessary action. I always say this, I'll say it again. With truth, knowledge, truth, comes responsibility. And some people are very uncomfortable or are made very uncomfortable by truth. Well, that's okay, because if they're uncomfortable, at least we prick them, okay? At least we have touched a nerve. Sooner or later, maybe that nerve will actually make some kind of connection or contact with their minds and with their hearts, but with their minds to use them. So kudos to Bob Tuskin. Great job. And thank you, Phil, for sending that clip that where he was actually speaking to this host on the National Public Radio, NPR, which is another joke. But anyway, great job, Bob Tuskin. Great job. Great job to all my sisters and brothers out there. But back to you.
Well, it's easy for you and I to talk, Larry. Gary knows that, and anyone else who's heard us before. So we could, chew up the remainder of the time very easily. I wanted to quickly ask Gary if there are any questions out there that you want to throw at us, Gary, before we close out the program, or anything you'd like us to touch on.
Well, I know we've got about 4 minutes left in your time slot, and I obviously, I encourage each of our guests to do a little bit of blatant self-promotion. I know for a fact this character Pinkney has been all over the place here recently, and probably is deserving of some bragging rights as to where folks might find more of his material. I mean, my goodness, I've been seeing him all over YouTube and all over all kinds of places here lately. And Phil, I know you get out there a little bit, and you've probably got some footprints in the sand yourself. So you might want to take a little bit of this last couple minutes we've got here to do that blatant self-promotion, because people are going to hear this and they're going to say, I kind of like what that guy's got to say. I want to find more of what he's got.
Find out more. Sure. Okay, Gary. Well, we do appreciate that. Well, as we mentioned, all of Larry's work is compiled over at blackactivistwg.org, and he has been busy lately. He's been on the Alex Jones program multiple times. yesterday most recently, and yesterday morning on the Power Hour with Joyce Riley and my girlfriend Kathy Bracewell here in East Central Florida, a member of the coordinator for the East Central Florida chapter of Code Pink, Women for Peace, was able to get a call in yesterday morning, Larry, to talk with you and Joyce Riley on the Power Hour, thepowerhour.com, and that was a great call. It's on the archive there. We're doing good work here in Florida. We went to an event Thursday that was a libertarian event, a Campaign for Liberty event, and we try to go to all these events, whether they be so-called left, so-called right. Just show up, and we constantly try to remind people, Larry, of your saying, if any one of us can say they agree 100% with the other fella on everything, then somebody's lying, And
That's right. That's right.
And the point here is that we've got to stop looking at the things we disagree with and start focusing on the things that we have common concerns about, and be grown-ups and realize, hey, man, I am not going to agree with you folks on everything, if not many things. But let's see where we can work together on stuff that's hurting us all. And that's a message I'd like to continue to voice, and you've helped me with that, Larry.
About 30 seconds. Let's let Larry have the last word. We got about 30 seconds here.
Thank you.
Well, I just thanks so much, Gary. Thank you for all of your tremendous work. Really mean that. Again, I just want to thank the sisters and brothers, the brothers and sisters in our audience. Thank you for listening to us. Stay strong. Carry on. Keep up the good work. I know it's hard, but keep it up. All power to the people.
Thank you.
And
don't
gentlemen,
buy, ask why, don't comply.
Thank you for that little plug there, Phil. Do appreciate it. And on that note, I'm going to have to cut you loose. We've consumed every second I could give you, so we're going to take out with a little bit of music. Here we go.
Have a great day.